In 1929, Herbert Hoover became the 31st President of the United States and faced unprecedented challenges during his term. His administration marked the onset of the Great Depression, starting with bank panic and closures. On Black Thursday, 13 million shares sold off, shaking the foundations of the stock market. The Agricultural Marketing Act was signed to help struggling farmers revive their livelihoods. His response to the crisis involved creating public works programs to provide much-needed jobs. In 1931, the Empire State Building is completed and opens to the public. Despite Hoover's efforts, millions found themselves standing in long lines at banks, anxious to withdraw their money. Congress complied with Hoover's request for funding, but bank closures skyrocketed to nearly 1,300. As the Depression deepened, Hoover continued to propose economic reforms and foreign policy changes. In 1932, Hoover formed the Reconstruction Finance Corporation to stimulate the flagging economy. Over the years, Hoover faced backlash, becoming the emblem of government's failure during economic struggles. Fast forward to Franklin D. Roosevelt's inauguration in 1933, a shift in leadership occurred. Roosevelt's fireside chats reassured citizens, building trust amidst uncertainty and concern. The New Deal galvanized America, steering the nation toward recovery and hope. While Hoover's legacy was marred by the Depression, Roosevelt's administration painted a picture of determination. In 1934, regulatory acts became crucial in enforcing labor rights and guiding economic resilience. The tension of armed conflicts loomed over the horizon as World War II approached. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland, thus kicking off World War II as France and Britain declared war on Germany. With limited domestic support for war, Roosevelt declares U.S. neutrality. Winston Churchill becomes the Prime Minister of Britain. Days later, he sent Roosevelt the first of many personal telegrams requesting American aid and participation in the war. Roosevelt announces that the American stance toward the war is changing and they will openly support Allied powers without actually going to war with the Axis powers. Roosevelt wins an unprecedented third term as President of the United States, looking past the unwritten rule Washington established of a two-term limit. Knowing the Soviet Union was weakened by the war with Finland, Germany breaks the Nazi-Soviet non-aggression pact and invades the USSR. A German U-boat torpedoes the U.S. destroyer, Kearney, which prompts Roosevelt to announce to the nation that America has been attacked, stopping short of declaring war on Germany. Many Americans were still reluctant to enter into open war, even after another U-boat sinks the destroyer Reuben James October 31st, killing over 100 Americans. Japan declares war on U.S. after Japanese bombers attack Pearl Harbor, the major U.S. naval base in Hawaii. Roosevelt appears before a special joint session of Congress, calling December 7th, a date which will live in infamy, and asking for a declaration of war against Japan. Congress declares war on Japan the same day. Germany and Italy declare war on the United States. Congress, in turn, declares war on Germany and Italy. While the war is far from over, the victory at Midway establishes U.S. naval superiority as the Japanese also lose a significant number of their best pilots. Flying from Cairo, Roosevelt and Churchill meet Joseph Stalin at the Tehran Conference in Iran. The first ever meeting of the Big Three leaders to settle the timing of the invasion of Europe. On D-Day, Operation Overlord begins just after midnight, with some 4,000 invasion ships, 600 warships, 10,000 planes, and about 176,000 Allied troops. Roosevelt wins an unprecedented fourth term. Harry S. Truman as his new VP. Early 1945 saw one of the hardest-fought battles of the war, as U.S. Marines captured the island of Iwo Jima. While vacationing in Warm Springs, Georgia, President Roosevelt died following a massive cerebral hemorrhage. Vice President Harry Truman is immediately sworn in, becoming the 34th President of the United States. Germany surrendered May 7, 1945, ending World War II in Europe. Hitler is eventually found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Early August, the United States drops an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan, followed by another on Nagasaki, which leads Japan to surrender, thus ending World War II in Asia. With Truman's presidency post-World War II, a commitment to civil rights and rebuilding was evident as he signed the Truman Doctrine, the Nation's Security Act, Housing Act, and others. In 1963, Eisenhower becomes the 34th President of the United States at the age of 62. The Department of Health, Education, and welfare is created by joint congressional action. Eisenhower became the first president not constitutionally allowed to run for a third term since the 22nd Amendment was ratified. He did, however, get to be the first president to fall under the Former President's Act, an act that entitles former presidents a pension for life, state-provided staff and Secret Service detail. Kennedy becomes the 35th President of the United States at the age of 43. Kennedy's era highlighted significant change, from the Bay of Pigs invasion to civil rights initiatives. Kennedy encouraged innovation, declaring a mission to land a man on the moon. Yet, tragedy struck in 1963 with Kennedy's assassination, leaving a nation in shock and despair. America's landscape was forever altered by these dynamic leaders, each forging their own path. From Hoover's struggles to Kennedy's vision, the American story unfolded with resilience and hope. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself, a reminder of courage in challenging times.